Hello, Hawaii and hello, y'all, however you want to go about it. Happy 2021. I know things are still pretty rough in this new year for a lot of folks, and the harsh reality is that a change on the day of the calendar won't magically change nor fix things, just like how you don't magically gain like all the knowledge of an adult when you turn 18 instantaneously, you feel? Nonetheless, be gentle on yourselves, and this year, do your best. So now, why are we here? Welcome, this is an update video, and a little bit of a sort of about me, I guess. I didn't want to use or edit my sprites into this, by the way, so for all the visual folks, I recorded a brief, speed doodle for y'all. So, let's get into updates, and by that, I mean, let me kind of talk about myself briefly first. So howdy, I'm Blue. I'm a hobby artist, at least at this point in time and for the foreseeable future. For a long time, I was pretty confused on what the hell I was doing, because you wanna know what? Life isn't like My Little Pony where you get a cutie mark that suddenly makes sense of your career and life path. And that's okay. You see, I went to college for a time, and in a nutshell, college is expensive as hell in the USA. Plus, I was stressed the fuck out because I didn't know what I wanted to do, which makes picking degrees and dumping money into college a nightmare here. To say the least, I dropped out. Maybe one day I'll go back, but for now, nah. Well, guess what? Again, this is the USA, and a lot of folks here consider college a pretty important next step. And so since I yeeted that step, I needed a new direction. And in a bit of a stress daze, I basically said, maybe I'll become a content creator. Now, of course, I create content, so I guess technically I am a content creator in a sense, but when I say content creator, I mean like a YouTuber or a webcomic creator basically. Like the career path or big dedication to it sort of deal. And in other words, this is where I got a bit lost. I lost me by forcing myself down a path that deep down in my gut I knew I didn't really want to do, or at the very least wasn't ready for just yet. I often get people even a few years back asking me if Dreamscape was going to be a comic, was it going to be an animated series, and when people weren't asking, they were essentially hyping me up to do it because they thought that's what I wanted to do. They were being supportive and saw potential in it because they thought it was also my dream, because I often would muse about it openly for fun. It's just, I muse about things all the time. Then on top of it, I was a college dropout who was kind of confused, and when someone sees I can do art and all that, the next thought is, oh, she can make a living doing this art stuff then instead, or oh, she can chase her dream to become a content creator because I mused about it maybe, and they thought that's maybe secretly a dream. Well, here's the thing. As said, I was lost, so any sense of direction I basically clung to. So I did try to do that. I made a Patreon briefly, I made a community Discord, I started to make the first chapter or so of Dreamscape to make a webtoon comic or something and all that, but I would freeze up. I would get overwhelmed with it, and simply put, it's because it just wasn't really what I wanted to do, and I knew it in my gut. I always did gut feelings, you get them and you ignore them for well more than you should have, but you know, and then eventually it gets you and you're like, damn, I knew better early on. The simple truth is, all I want to do is just vibe and be happy, and I'm not trying to climb towards any crazy goals. I enjoy living day by day and appreciate the little things with vague dreams, hopes, and ideas for the future, and that's okay. Honest to God, if you haven't heard it from someone in your life, then hello, here I am to tell you loud and clear. It's okay to not have a career path or a big huge life and goal in mind. If you have one, great, that's wonderful. But if you don't, that's okay, and nobody should make you feel like you must have one immediately. It's okay, if it takes you 5 years from now to figure out what you want to do, or if you know right away, or if you don't know right away. As long as you have a general plan and can live in a way that makes you truly happy, then goddammit, you're doing alright, especially in this godforsaken economy. So, anywho, where does this all come into play? Basically, because of all these initial startups I was doing to try and make a career out of my work or become a content creator, there was/is some confusion at times among people who follow my work. So simply put, I am a hobby artist. I do all these things for fun. I make OCs for fun. I make a chaotic story for them for fun. I post and even make a brand for myself, you guessed it, for fun. I think a lot of the stuff content creators have and do are just really neat, fun things to do. Honestly, best example, my outro tune or my card site. You probably associate those with creators you follow. Most creators have something like that or some variation of it. Making a brand for yourself is pretty important when you're trying to make a career out of stuff to make yourself recognizable. It's how you define yourself from the other people. For me, my focus on it is just, it's fun. We're back here again. It's fun. At the end of the day, I'm just a hobby artist who's just vibing, and unless I change my mind and path about that later, because honest to God, never say never, I don't know. I do these things for fun and because they make me happy. That's it. My art, my OCs, all that, it's for me. It's fun and it makes me happy. It took a whole bunch of trial and error and even a good few of those 2020 months where the pandemic basically uprooted a lot of our lives. And for all the curses of 2020, the blessing is it really gave a lot of time, at least for me personally, to reassess myself and things, to self-reflect on a lot and find myself again as far as like, who am I? What do I like? What do I want? It wasn't entirely like gone from me, but I definitely lost a bit of touch with it. So, like, example, I don't think I'm ever meant to work in a situation where I have to force myself to make my content for other people instead of myself. I'm not meant to work in the art industry on the capacity where I'd be like making other art for other people's and their projects even, like backgrounds. And for these same reasons, this is why I don't take commissions often even. I'm not meant to produce my hobby in a way that forces it to gain and be worth a monetary value, because some hobbies are best left as a hobby. That's why they're hobbies. Fun and leisure. Not everything has to be a career or capitalized, which, you know, takes a while, like, especially in the USA, like, you hear that a lot. You hear that, especially on Twitter. I think there's, like, a lot of people have mentioned that, but it doesn't necessarily click right away for yourself in the cases where you're trying to, you know, maybe tread that path, even though you kind of aren't sure about it. In my case, some people are treading that path, and they want to go that path. Something can be just for you, that you just share with others as you please. And that's my work. That's my art. That's Dreamscape. I make it for myself first and foremost, and I enjoy sharing it with other people. And if they like it, that's great, and it makes me really happy. That's where I'm at. With all that said, here's the plan. Of course, I will still be posting Dreamscape stuff. That won't change. It won't be 24/7 though, because Dreamscape doesn't put food on the table, and of course, real life comes first. I get busy at times. However, it is still my intention to make one video that will cover what Dreamscape is and the story of Dreamscape. Basically, my initial Dreamscape video series plan, but in a more concise single video. I've been putting a lot of thought into how I can go about it, including how I'll summarize things in the video, break them down, even how to make it, because honestly, I don't like editing videos. Probably not a well-known fun fact, like it's kind of in my Meet the Artist thing, but like I don't think it's like clear. Mainly about like me saying I only animate every so many years, but it goes for the editing too, because I make like a handful of videos, right? But I'm an artist, not an editor. So while the final products are always like worth it in the end with the editing time and process is a pain and not my favorite pastime at all. I won't elaborate more on how I'm gonna go about making the video beyond the aforementioned, because there's this funky thing, if I remember right, about how like if you tell someone in full what you're doing before you do it, I guess it sends off the happy, oh I completed the thing, task chemicals like in your brain, which makes you less likely to do it because you kind of got that satisfactory it's done feeling just by telling someone in length like what you were gonna do. I swear I read about it once I read about once, right, on the internet. I don't know if it's like entirely true because internet, everything is just a mess on here and not everything's true, but just in case, also because God forbid if I change my mind on what I'm doing again. But yeah, also my ideal goal, and I mean ideal because I'm not going to stress myself over setting my own deadline for something that doesn't even require a deadline, especially since I always underestimate how long my art takes, is to maybe have the Dreamscape video done sometime in March. Again, not a guarantee, it's an optimistic wouldn't that be nice finish time, because March is my birth month, and as such I've always considered it kind of like Dreamscape month, I guess, even though I'm a huge fall winter nerd, like October to December you feel. It's weird. Anywho, aiming for that. But it could take longer because, again, life's chaotic. Either way, hopefully look forward to that. No, I will be unlisting the initial part 1 and 2 videos I made for the original series, since I will be making the new one just to like avoid confusion later on where people are like, where's part 3 and 4 or 5 or whatever. Again, unless I change my mind later, those videos will be unlisted. So if you enjoy them and have them favorited, you should still be able to see or watch them. I'm not sure if I'll private them later on or whatever, but for now, unlisted. I also have had folks ask and suggest I put all my OCs on Toy House and stuff. Honestly, I do have one. I'm definitely interested in doing that, but again, that's gonna take time. Not to mention I have to really familiarize myself with using the Toy House layout, which again takes time. So that may be a really long while. I'm like not in a rush to do that or anything, so we'll see. Aside from that, I need to update my like yearly New Year stuff, like my ref, my Meet the Artist, pinned tweets, etc. I want to update my card site, all that. Again, will take time. There's a lot of like random to-do list things that are just sitting around that I don't know what order I'm gonna do them, but eventually, hopefully, we'll get through them. Otherwise, I tend to vibe over on my Twitter. I post any updates there and new art there, so you can catch me over there. DeviantArt I still post on, but like post as in I drop my art and leave because Eclipse sucks and it's pretty dead there. It's basically a portfolio of my work, but I don't really rush to getting the stuff on there, so if you like my art, chances are you'll see it on Twitter first before DeviantArt. Also, I have a Curious Cat at the moment for like any questions and stuff, so like if you have questions about Dreamscape or something, that can also be found via my Twitter. Thanks for watching, and I hope this kind of catches up on things more or less. I made this rather quick, so if it's a bit of a mess and whatnot, I am so sorry about that, especially with the mic and everything, and God knows. Regardless, Happy New Year, stay gold, and keep your head up and all. We got this. Fresh year, change is always a happening. Keep your head up. Just do it. Do it. You got this. Okay, I'm going now. Bye-bye.